What is up, everybody, and tamers, and welcome to the Applink, our bi-weekly podcast where we talk about everything that is regarding Digimon, where it's either the shows, the card game, mostly it's the card game, as that is what most of the team here is mostly diverse in, and it's something that we can all talk about and we all very much enjoy. But as you can see, today it's just me right now. So you're going to get a solo podcast. Who knows though? As you can see, we are still on our handy dandy Discord. So if any of the team members would like to jump in or want to jump in, they can very much do so, as we like to have that kind of structure here. So, but yes, as you can see, it is just myself today. So we're going to be going through all the usual phases with you on this podcast, just with myself. So we're going to go firstly through our draw phase, which is going to be our market watch, which is going to be obviously our buys, sells, stuff to look at, and in between. Then we're going to go into our top three, which is going to be Digimon series. I thought, with it just being myself today, at the very least, I can branch a little bit outside the card game. So we're going to go through my favourite Digimon series, as it kind of goes in hand with our most recent releases, which is going to be our main phase, which is going to be a quick overview on our recent Evolution Cup that we just had, like what was going around, what was going on, and overall how fun it was. And then we're going to go through recent releases that Bandai has been releasing, which I think can go very well with our top three today. So with all that said and done, let us move on to our next phase, which is going to be our draw phase, going to be our market watch. See you tamers there. And we're back with our draw phase and our market watch of the week, or bi-week, I guess. 2 weeks. So with BT23, in my eyes, fully into the format now. We've got lots of new cards that have been spiking up in price, and some cards which haven't really either moved or maybe even gone down in price, and even some new releases as well. So for our first market watch today is going to be, in my eyes, Tiger Vespermon Ace. Now I know that the B deck is quite popular to a lot of fans, including myself. I personally also enjoy. I haven't played with it as of lately, but now with the new support and with me seeing in action through one of our local players, Damien, big shout outs to you. It seems to be a lot of fun. With the new support and what the new cards really give to the deck, is now a fully coherent deck in terms of it literally now has like 50 cards that can all be of the royal base trait. So I want to go and shout out Tiger Vespermon, as right now on Card Market is very cheap. If you want to pick up the standard artwork, it is going for at least around €1.60, which for an SRA says very strong for the deck. Definitely something you want to pick up as a playset of, as not only does this go into obviously the Royal Base deck, but it also can go into CS decks and more importantly the Zaxxon deck. So if you're looking into playing that as well, you definitely want to pick up some of the copies for this, as this is your secondary boss monster, just after Machine Drum, in my personal opinion. If you want to bling out, the alt art is actually not too bad for a very nice alt art, which is going around €14 on average. So if you do want to bling out, even at least for one copy of the deck, it is actually not too much that you're going to be spending to get a nice shiny alt art for your deck. So my first recommendation for today is going to be Tiger Vespermon Ace. For my second recommendation is a little bit of a cheat, but I do highly recommend everybody picking up the new LM set that has just recently dropped, which is Billion Bullet. As like with the last LM set, it has 4 alt art promos, quote unquote, that you can get within the packs. Obviously, with them being quoted promos, they are stuff that you have to pull. So, but with a single box, which goes on around £25 on average, depending on your local retailers. I know our local store and locals sells them at about just under £27, which for a whole box is not too bad. It's actually very nice, actually. Um, you can get a chance of 2 of the old art reprints in this set, which is Ukomon from BT16, which is a very sought after Ukomon. So it's a very nice reprint. Beelzemon Blast Mode, I think it's Beelzemon Blast Mode Ace, which is very nice. As well as Rapidmon X Antibody, which is a very nice reprint. If you like playing the Rabbit deck and want to get yourself some Rapid 8 X's, very nice reprint. And then there was one more, which is Terriermon from the starter deck, which is a very cute little reprint alt art. So you get your chances at 2 of those per your box, but what is very nice with these boxes, and why I highly recommend everybody who's playing this game to get them, is that with these LM boxes we get new memory boosts and in the future new trainings. These are very, very strong memory boosts, as they are the dual color memory boosts, which can grab you and search for multiple colors in your decks. And with a single box, you're guaranteed 2 of every single memory boost in that set. Along with that, you also guaranteed 2 copies each of all the full colored reprints within this set. And this set gives you 2 very highly sought after promo reprints in the forms of Destromon for the Galacticmon deck promo, as well as Flamedramon for all you armor players out there. And you're again guaranteed 2 copies of all of these and the members from a single box. So for around £25, you're getting 2 old art reprints, and 1 of each at random, and 2 copies each of everything else within the set. For £25, I think that's a steal. So I highly do recommend, if you have not picked up your boxes yet, at least buy 1 whole box, so you can at least have 2 of everything. Having 2 each of the color members, if you have 2 colors, if you have memory boost colors that you do not use, like I personally sold off or traded actually my green-black ones, as I don't really utilize decks with those color combinations enough, to our fellow member Lewis for his yellow-red ones, as I do play that color a lot more than he does. And you can just do that with a single box. You can go around to your mates, you're like, oh, I play that color, those colors. You play with these colors, can we just swap? And you get a whole playset, and then they get a whole playset, and then win-win for everybody. So, yes, so that's my second recommendation. I highly do recommend everybody who's playing this game, if you have not already, do pick up a box of the new LM2 set. For my last recommendation today, it is going to be Hoodimon. Now, probably some of you people out there are sick and tired of hearing this Digimon's name as of lately. It is like the talk of the town, so to speak, within the card game, as everyone seems to be scrambling to play this deck. And because of that, and because of how strong it is, from personal experience, it is very strong, both playing it and facing it. She is skyrocketed, what feels like skyrocketed, up to 30 euros on average for just the standard artwork. Literally, standard art hoodie from BT23 is going on average 30 euros. That's probably about £25 on average, which is like double its price from when I personally got it on day of release. If you want the alt art, the first alt art, obviously not the lottery one, that is going for about 45 euros on average, which is about 40 quid. So literally now it all just depends on what artwork you want, but I would advise don't pick these up now. I think maybe wait a little bit more um, and just see how the prices average and fluctuate. Um, as it is still somewhat new game season. Like everyone is still like new cards now, or whatever phrase you want to use. The format is still somewhat fresh, even though it has kind of settled. It's still fresh, if that makes any sense. Um, like we know what's the good decks out of the set, and we're just seeing how they still match up within the format compared to everything else. So I do think maybe watch Hootie if you're still interested in playing it. Just seeing how it goes. Um, Worst case scenario, if I really had to advise, if you wanted to really buy his cards, try and get a single copy. It seems crazy to play a whole deck with a boss monster you're only playing one of, but because of how coherent CS is, and with how many searches that you have in the deck, how much consistency the deck just naturally has. Having the one copy, so long as it's not in your security, you can still play the deck and get a feel of how the deck plays. You can then, like, if you're just playing casually at your locals while you're testing the deck, finding your deck's build, you can just proxy the rest of them. But if you really needed to get some hoodies, get maybe one of the standard arts and just see how it goes, and then you can just build it up as you go. If you do thoroughly enjoy it, and you can just keep on watching how the prices go. But this is one of those cards that you probably did need to get on release date, on pre-release, from someone. I'm very lucky I got mine, so thank you, Joe. Um, Very happy that I did when I got them when I did. But yes, so that's my number one recommendation today is Hoodie Marking 23. I would actually just advise if you have the alts, maybe look to sell them off now. And if you still want to play the deck, maybe even looking just to downgrade it. You can make about like a good 15 quid back per copy, depending on what you have. If someone is looking to bling up their deck and they have the standards. So overall, my market watch today was Tiger Vestibule Ace from BT23. Buy that card now if you're looking to play the decks. There it goes in. LMO2 Billion Bullet. Definitely buy the set if you are at all in the card game. Buy a booster box. And then Hoodie Mon from BT23. I would definitely advise selling the alts, downgrade them if you want to still play the deck. And if you're wanting to play the deck, maybe buy one standard art or just proxy and just watch how the prices fluctuate. So, with that said and done, let's go straight into our next phase, which is going to be our raising phase and our top three today, which is Digimon series. See you gamers there. And we're back, tamers, in our raising phase, which is going to be top three. And for that one, it's going to be top three Digimon series. Now, as I mentioned before, as it's just so far me today, I wanted to branch a little bit outside of the Digimon card game for the top three, and just talk about a little bit of the Digimon as a whole within that, which also coincides with our main discussion of today. And so I wanted to talk about the Digimon series as there's a big pinnacle point in terms of like how the card game is choosing its cards, with designs of said cards, and just overall Digimon as a whole. I know Digimon is primarily a VPET series franchise, which then branches into the video games, the card game, and the television shows as well. But a lot of the card games designs do come from the shows. So I wanted to go through my top three shows, and just give a good little reasonings behind why I really highly rate these series. As to anyone who wants to get into the Digimon, and I know I've seen it around sometimes on Twitter, some people saying like, "Oh, I just discovered Digimon with the video game, and I want to now start watching the shows. What shows do you recommend?" These are like essentially my recommendations. Um, and so with my recommendations today, is going to be, for my number 3 pick, is going to be Digimon Ghost Game. And just a quick thing to say, all of the shows that I'm going to be recommending today are available on Crunchyroll. So if you have and want to watch things on a subscription-based service as a form of support, you can view all of these on Crunchyroll in its subbed version, which for some people, subbed and dubbed is still very important to them. Um, so all of these are available on subbed on Crunchyroll, so you can catch those on there. Um, so yes, it's Ghost Game. And to some of you who know me, you're probably thinking, wow, Ghost Game is number 3? It's got Camomon in it, Var. I know. And it's a very fun show. Its overall concept and design is really fascinating. I really love the whole Scooby-Doo-esque horror of the month, monster of the week kind of like style that it had to it. And the characters are fantastically designed. The new Digimon they introduced are wonderful. As again, I love my Gamamon, I love my Genimon. In fact, I love all 3 of them. And Gorman is also fantastically designed as well. Um, and the tamer partners, heroes, great. Ruri's fantastically done as well for girl protag. Maybe she could have done a little bit better, a little bit more design. I don't know in terms of like her character growth, but she's still really nice. As well as Koshio as well. Like he's done really well. So I really like his kind of like, a little bit of like mysterious, edgy kind of like character behind him as well. Um, what was what puts Ghost Game down a little bit is that the monster of the week I think went too long. What they could have probably done to flesh out the subplot of the whole series, which is essentially the Guru Scamamon kind of like side of the story. Um, if they cut the monster of the week down by half, as it was I believe, a 51 episode or 52 episode series. If they did Monster of the Week for like maybe, be generous, 30 of the episodes, like the first 30, um, around that, they could have then focused a lot more. They could have given like 20 episodes just fully on the Gulu's plot. And because they didn't, the ending of the show felt very rushed. Whether or not Ghost Game was planned to have more episodes, but for cut of time, they kind of like stopped it. I know there was like maybe 2 episodes where it was kind of like previously on Ghost Game, this is what's happened. Kind of those recap episodes. Um, but because of that, to hardcore viewers, Ghost Game maybe a bit less, but I feel like if you're having an intro series to discover what Digimon are and what they can be, while not feeling so serious for most of it, Ghost Game is fantastic, and I do highly recommend it to a lot of people, and I do thoroughly enjoy it because of how creative it is. So that's my number 3. For my number 2, it is going to be. It was one of them, but now I'm thinking of something else. So I guess it's kind of like a toss-up. I guess number 2 is a toss-up between Digimon Data Squad or Digimon Savers in Japanese, and I guess Digimon Applink Monsters. Um, for my reasonings for Savers / Data Squad, I just kind of like how mature the show is in terms of its characters. The characters, even though I believe canonically they are on the same age level as everybody else, because of how they are designed and how they speak and how they're spoken, the overall discussions and conflicts and kind of like the scenarios that they put themselves into, they feel very mature. They feel very teenage-esque, which really gives the overall feel of the show very differently to everything else. Um, the characters and designs are very nice as well because of that. Marcus's overall character is a very interesting character. Like there's no other tamer that kind of like matches his kind of like uniqueness. In the sense that he likes to get into the fight as well. As in terms of like card game, we all love our classic Marcus for game. Um, as he does get in conflicts and in physical confrontations with all the Digimon, which again no other series protagonist does. And like everybody else as well on the team is very, very interesting and very, very well done. I know to probably maybe some the as with most animes, especially most shonen animes and that kind of stuff, the female protagonists are always somewhat lacking in that regard. But as a male, I can't really say for certain give my whole point on that. But I can always say like if people out there think that the female characters need to be improved, obviously that is something that just needs to be addressed. Um, but from what I feel like, they're all done really, really nicely. Um, it is a series that I do generally need to rewatch again because I feel like I kind of like maybe missed out or skipped a lot of the second half of the series. But from what I was watching, from what I thoroughly enjoyed, and from what I know of the show, it is very highly up there. I do really, really enjoy it. If you want a Digimon different flavor, but also still in like the overall Digimon series scope, I do think Data Squad um, is definitely something to sort of look at as well. I do very much enjoy. Um, though in time with Applink Monsters is one of those that if you really want to feel like a Digimon show, but you want a completely different taste, I think Apply is very, very good. If it's not going to be my number two, it is at least in my honorable mentions. Maybe after if you've watched another Digimon show. If you've watched another Digimon show, even if it's not one of my recommendations, if it's like season one, um, then I definitely would want to recommend Apply Monsters. It's one that I took a long while to get into, to watching, and I think with the fact that app came into the card game really gave me the other reasoning to watch the show, and I really enjoyed it. I really loved the serious tones and what the characters would have to go through. I love the weird now modernization of the show as the whole show is generally centered around artificial intelligence and with the way that the current era of the world is in, it is very weirdly topical. um, which is very funny for how that show is aged. But it's very fun, very good watch. The the CG, I know with some people CG in anime isn't great, but it really blends well with Apply Monsters. The way that the Digimon evolve, quote unquote, into the upper forms from Super App, which is essentially champion, upwards, they all go into like this CG mode, CG design mode, and it really blends well with the scenery and how the show and what the characters are. So it does feel very nice to watch. Um, it's got a very good dark tone, which goes into to my number one towards the end. So if you want a little bit of a more serious part of your uh, essentially kids show, kids anime, um, it's very good for that. So that would be, if not my number two, tied. It would definitely be in one of my honorable mentions, which is Apply Monsters. For my number one, if you know me, you probably knew it was here. The fact that Ghost Game was number three, it is Digimon Tamers. Now, I love Digimon Tamers. It is one of my favorite series. Some of my favorite characters, my favorite plots, my favorite scenery. Like everything about Tamers, I absolutely love. I think it's still one of the best designed shows. Now, I know a lot of people say Adventure One is still is still like the best designed show. Um, and I would probably say at least Tamers is on par. Um, so, other than obviously my favorite Digimon are in this show, why do I love Tamers so much? I just love the overall climb of scale in terms of feel that the show wants to give you. It starts off comedic and it starts off in a somewhat episodic monster of the week, which most shows start off like that, and that's fine. For Digimon, Monster of the Week just works. The problem with Ghost Game, as I said, it was most of the show. But with Tamers, it starts off with the first season a little bit of Monster of the Week, but then as it's going through, you can see the subplot coming and sprinkling its way in. With the first subplot being the Davers. And then after that, it then goes not into so much Monster of the Week, but it now goes into that kind of plot. So we're seeing other characters' development through things like Impmon, and we're seeing like all the partners and their Digimon growing as they go, gaining new levels, gaining new strengths as we're going through. And then we get into the digital world and we get introduced to the not the Davis, the D Reapers and that kind of subplot, and then we're getting into the more character growth in terms of emotional growth, like through things of loss, depression, finding out their inner traumas and that kind of stuff, and we're trying to like watch these characters fight through these, whether they're on their own or together as a team. It's just overall a fantastically designed show. So if you really want to watch a really, it sounds bad wording it this way, but I can't really think of any way to word it. If you really want to watch a really good designed Digimon show, I highly recommend Digimon Tamers. If you want to watch it subbed or dubbed, I think the dub is really good. Everyone's got fantastic voices in the dub. So if you found a way, if you've got a DVD box set like I do, go ahead and watch it. But if you don't mind, you just want to stream it constantly, you want to have it simply on your phone, go check out all these shows on Crunchyroll. You can just watch it in subbed, and if they have it on dubbed as well, and you can go catch them on there. I'm not sponsored, it seems like I am. I'm not. But yeah, I like to explain, tell people where they can watch these things, because I know personally it's hard to find good ways to watch these things. And so if I know where it is and I can tell people, I'll just tell them. But yes, so that is my top 3, I guess top 4 Digimon series. So we've got Digimon Ghost Game as my number 3, Data Squad / Appmon, if Appmon is also an honorable mention. If not, as my number 2. And my number 1 is Digimon Tamers. Highly recommend Digimon Tamers. Very, very good show. So that is my raising phase. No, that is my raising phase. I'll get the phases at some point. That is my rating phase of our top 3 Digimon series. Who knows if in future episodes we might go back to that. So if not for me, for the other members of the team, I might sprinkle that this top 3 into another top 3, just so you can guys get an understanding of what they think is their favourites. And why they like that series so much. Who knows, maybe throughout the whole team, every Digimon season is the best. So who knows, that'll be very interesting to see. So we're going to go straight into our main phase, which is our main topic of discussion, and that is going to be Evolution Cup and upcoming products. Catch Tamers there. When you have to face a fight, be strong, give it all your might. And we're back, Digimon Tamers, with our main topic of discussion, which is going to be our Evolution Cup that's just recently happened this weekend as of recording this video, or this episode, as well as recent reveals and for the card game. So, in terms of the Evolution Cup, it was great. As with most of our events that we have at our locals, everyone who participated was a bunch of fun and lots of decks were used. Everyone had a blast, everyone was enjoyable, and everybody, just respected and just had a good laugh. It feels like I just repeated everything I just said multiple times. But overall, it's just my way of saying, like, the atmosphere, as with most of our events, was top notch. I really thoroughly had a great time playing the card game. Everybody there, with the pricing fantastic. We had a lot of winners. And everyone seemed to essentially got what they wanted, if not through product and pricing, at least through testing and so on and so forth. If you do not know, the recent Evolution Cup had the rule set that everything needed to be in blocks 4 and 5, and if you don't know what the blocks are, if you take one of the Digimon cards at the very bottom there in the right hand side corner, where it says set number, you'll see a circle with a number in there. It goes from numbers 1 to 5, and that is what they call the block number. Now, this is what people rumored that Bandai might implement a set rotation at some point, utilizing block numbers. But it seems so far that what they're utilizing the block numbers for is for these Evolution Cup side events, limiting the card pool to what people can use. They did this previously when RB1 came out. They did Evolution Cups with block numbers up to, I think, 3 it was. Oh, no, it was block number, I think it was literally just block number 3 and 4. And so that went in coincide with the RB1 set, which reprinted a lot of cards with updated block numbers. And so they've done it again with blocks 4 to 5, which essentially limited the card pool to the recent card releases, set releases, from essentially the beginning of the Digimon Liberator sets up to now the current Cyber Sleuth sets, as well as with some starter decks and some side sets. Not every side set updates and reprints the block numbers, so do bear that in mind. I think we kind of narrowed it down that if a reprint came out in the forms of a promo, the block number has not been updated. But if the reprint came out in the form of a product, like a starter deck, excluding LM, then the block number has been updated. So that kind of goes in terms of like if you can use certain trainings and members and that kind of thing. So if you ever want to do these events again for your own personal fun side events, do bear that in mind when you're doing deck buildings for that. So what was played? We had 8 Cyber Sleuth decks being played, and there was like 1 to 2 non-Cyber Sleuth decks being played. So we had, I have the list here in terms of what was played. In terms of what Cyber Sleuth decks were played, we had 2 Hoodie option builds being played. If you do not know Hoodie in terms of like how many ways you can build this deck, there's about like 3-4 ways you can build this deck. You either have the hyper aggressive aggro OTK build, which solely focuses on doing that OTK. So we'll have primarily Cyber Sleuth rookies being used, so that's Palmon, Terriermon, etc. So less of the Hoodie rookies, as well as just more consistency cards, like more of the consistency Cyber Sleuth option cards, as well as the Tamers that can search them, and you're going heavily into using the Chitose and Hoodiemon aggro loop, doing your Jogressing and that kind of thing. But what the option build is that it's utilizing Ryuji, the Cyberdramon Tamer, and his ability to use option cards for free, and you having a more disruptive control kind of style with the Cyber Sleuth option cards, and that is your other way of playing Hoodiemon, and we had 2 of those being played. We then had 3 Cyber Sleuth Mastermon builds being played, which is very interesting, very cool to see. And that deck's really good. Like, it kind of goes into a similar playstyle with the Hoodie OTK, where you're climbing up into a Mastermon, regressing with the rookies, playing out another level, progressing again after doing a swing, like 2 swings and everything like that. And then you're essentially just regressing and constantly looping Mastermon in that kind of fashion. It's a very interesting build, and it's one that I'm definitely looking into, as I'm really enjoying Cyber Sleuth in terms of the deck as a whole. So having another way of playing it is very interesting, and something I'm very looking into trying it out. I just need to get some of my Cyber Sleuth Mastermonds. We then had what I was playing, which was Hoodie Alphamon. It was a build that I found online. I really wanted to try out. As again, I really like the Cyber Sleuth deck. But I am really enjoying Hoodie one. I kind of want to like take Hoodie and see if there's other ways of playing it that, if not, if it isn't better, at least still strong. That just feels comfortable to me. Um, and there was one on build online that I saw was a more Alphamon top end build, and I wanted to give that a go. I went 50-50 with it. I had like 2 wins, 2 losses. I think my only losses were to I lost to Other Joe, which was Hoodie option, and then I lost to what was the other one? I beat App, I beat Master, I lost to Cyber, and I lost to Jesmo. Unfortunately. So, um, the fact that I lost to Hoodie option build is definitely something to say. But Jesmon was just unfortunate. And then we had a Zaxxon Cyber Sleuth build, which was very cool to also seeing being used. From the sounds of it, the deck just had some form of consistency issues or something like that. I'm not sure. Like it had strong aggro plays and it just kind of like fell off because it just didn't see any more pieces to recover. But hopefully that will just keep on going through, and I look forward to seeing that deck develop and improve. And then the last Cyber Sleuth deck was an Eaters deck, piloted by Chris. It sounded like that went very well for them. In terms of seeing how the new cards fit in with the deck, 'cause this was their first time in terms of a local scenery playing with the new options that Eaters have gotten. And from what I saw and from what I could see, the deck has a lot more power that can now utilize within the forms of um, the Erica Eater form, giving you like essentially double alliance swing, like 3 checks in a single Evo is absolutely absurd. So I'm very excited to see how that develops to the point where even now I'm thinking of maybe putting it together. I thankfully have my place of Erica because of Hoodie, so I can now just like slot those into an Eater deck and just see how it goes. Um, so I'm very interested to see how it goes. And so we had like that's the 8 Cyber Sleuth decks. In terms of what else was there, we had an Appmon being piloted by Billy. We had Jesmon piloted by Damien, and then we had a that was it actually. Yeah, those were the other 2 decks. No, and then we had a Medusamon piloted by Luke. Um, so those were all the decks that were played for the event. So as you can see, it's a very more of a Cyber Sleuth kind of like thing. But I think that's just primarily because Cyber Sleuth is such a diverse archetype that everyone essentially, if you're collecting this game, you have a Cyber Sleuth deck built. It's just dependent on what your top end and what your overall boss monster is. Um, and so it's very interesting. This is one of the reasons why I love the CS deck. It's just so many ways that you can put it together with so many different techs and options that you can utilize. That no 2 Cyber Sleuth decks are the same. Even those three Mastermon builds, I could probably guarantee that none of them were exactly the same. And I definitely know that the 2 Hoodie option builds weren't the same. Um, because Joe and Shane definitely build them slightly differently. Um, like I believe Shane's still utilizing Chitose whilst Joe isn't. Um, so it's very great to see that even with like labeled decks of Hoodie CS and just CS, no one's the same. which is very great for deck building and customization and just overall diversity for the game. I don't think a lot of people know or see it in that way. So we had 4 winners because everyone drew. So we had our 4 prizing all done in one single event, which is fine because we're only hosting one event for it. I believe so. So we only had the one event, so all the prizing going in one go is fine. So it was the 2 Hoodie CS decks got top, as well as Jesmon and as well as Mastermon, which is great. It wasn't all done by CS. The Jesmon creeped its way through, and the Jesmon is just so strong. Like if you like Jesmon, before you think you were getting back into the game, you can scrape off the dust of that Jesmon deck and just get some new cards to upgrade it. It's fantastic for you. So that was essentially the event. Everyone had a great time. A lot of testing was done. And a lot of people seem to, again, got something out of it, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm very happy because I got my playset of Digimon alt art. So Digimon is once again fully alt arted. Moving on to new releases that Bandai has been doing. So we've got a new Vixenmon. We actually got a few things for the Venomon starter deck that's coming out, which is absolutely fantastic, and I'm very excited to see how that starter deck goes and grows, because it seems to be very interesting. So if you didn't know, Securemon's getting a new starter deck, and with it, it's essentially a somewhat new way to play, but also still old as well. So we've had things like the new Talmon and Amethyst Mandala option card revealed, with the new Talmon allowing you to turn off your opponent's when Digivolving effects, and giving them DP minusing, which in this current game is very handy to have in turning off a certain Digimon. So if your opponent has like a Hoodimon lying around, being able to turn that when for Digivolving off is fantastic. And for other things as well, so like if you're struggling off against like things like a medieval Gallantmon, having more ways to turn that Digimon off from using icing effect multiple times a turn is great. Like I really do. I know some people don't like these kind of like stunning effects, but in certain scenarios and certain formats and against certain Digimon in the game, it's great to see them being used. And then the whole deck is built around utilizing the Omoteotsu and plugin trait options, which previously the plugins weren't traded what they are, they're just called plugins. So it'll be interesting to see how this fits in with the older cards from like EX2 and beyond. In that, can the older Digimon utilize the new options, but then like it doesn't go in reverse. So you can't utilize the new Digimon for the old options because they're not traded. But if let's say we get 5 new plugin trait cards, but they're all called plugin as well, you can do it one way, but you can't do it backwards, which is fine. But the biggest reveals is like the new Sukuramon Ace, which is something that a lot of people, including myself, are very excited about. As it has an alliance and on-play when Digimon and when attacking effect to play a Pipe Fox token, which is a 6k blocker, and then you can use an option with the Omoteotsu and plugin trait from your hand or under your tamers without paying costs. So this is a very interesting way to utilize and flood your board a little bit more, get a little bit of defense in there with the blocker token, but also having aggressive alliance target, but also utilizing your option cards as well. Speaking of the options, I will go through the new Amethyst Mandala option, which is when effects trashes card from the security, you can activate its security effect which is one of your opponent's Digimon gets 9,000 DP minus for the turn. Which is a very strong DP minus and really helping you stick in the game in terms of a hyper aggro kind of style deck you're up against. But it has a purple-pink security box set, which is essentially what the B deck does, where they put themselves in security and they have security effects while face up. And that is an all-turns effect when your Digimon with Venomon, Cubimon, Talmon, Sucumon, so basically Venomon family, in this name's really the battle area. Other than by battle, you can trash this card and then it doesn't leave. So you've got a little form of protection within the security, which is very, very nice. Which is being there face up to your opponent. If they need to get rid of your protection, they can just swing and get rid of that option card from being there. But now they have to deal with a 9k minus on their Digimon. So there's a lot of good play arounds that your opponent can do. It's very interesting. The main effect for 6 cost or for free, if you're using your Digimon effects, because it's traded on Meteotsu. Probably butchering that pronunciation, but sorry, dyslexic. Is just draw one and place this card to a top security card, which for 6 cost seems a bit too much to some people, but again, your Digimon are playing this for free as well at points, so you can just get this for free value. The recent card that we got for this deck, though, which we were all excited to see, and some people weren't, as they just don't like facing Sucumon, which is understandable. It's the new Viximon egg. So this has a your turn once per turn. When you use an option cards with Amaterasu or plug-in trait, this Digimon will evolve into a Venomon family. In its name, for the hand cost reduced by 3, which is absurd. Essentially, you're evolving to anything that's 6 and below for 0. The only one you're not evolving for 0, I believe, is Sakuya X. But you're evolving for 1. Just bonkers. It's just going to be very exciting to see if this replaces the current Viximon, which gives you, I believe, a card draw when you use an option card. Or if you're playing this alongside it, and if you are, what ratios dominates the other. I mean, Thomas were like heavily discussing on like, oh god, it heavily determines on what the new options do. If we get a new plugin or Amaterasu trait that lets you evolve, like the green plugin that we have, I could definitely see this being the main staple egg, as it just lets you climb for so much faster and so much more effectively. We worked it, so if we get a new plugin, you can climb from 3 to 6 for 2 memory. Which is absolutely nuts. Probably even for 1 memory, if the Venomon you start for has an inherent where if you use an option card, gain a memory. Like, for 1, you can climb up all the way up to level 6, which is just absolutely insane. And then you can get, if you tech in the X antibody proto form, which I was thinking about maybe taking that in Sakuya in the future, if it's just solely based on Sakuya X. You can then go into Sakuya X for nothing, which is absolutely mad. After you've gone your entire climb for potentially 1 memory. No, now I'm going to become the X antibody for 0 as well. So that is the recent reveals for the Sakuya deck in terms of like card reveals. Other card reveals we had is the prizing for the next Evolution Cup. Also, I've been saying Evolution Cup this whole episode is regulation battle we had, so I do apologize there. But for the next Evo Cup, which the dates are from December 1st to January 31st, which is crazy. It's going to be for you Omnimon players out there. So we're going to get the BT22 All Arts for the Nokia Megas of Raw Greymon and Metal Garurumon, which look absolutely beautiful. I need to get at least a copy each for my deck. I need it. And the winner prizing, which for me and Shane were completely like, what? It's not what we thought it was. We thought it was the BT22 Nokia with an amazing OR. It's not. It's BT5, which to some players is disappointment. To me, I'm fine with. I love BT5 Nokia, so being able to get at least one of these for my collection and potential use in the deck is, I'm happy. Thank you very much. Still, it is a shame that it's not BT22, but I can understand that they just don't want to give you another OR for that so soon. But yes, all of these cards look absolutely wonderful. I think they've done a better job with these ones than they did with the last pricing, which was for Digimon, where it's the only one card that's good. If you don't count the token as a good for entry, which it is, but it's a token. Um, so take that with whatever uh, whatever mindset you have. But so the only good pricing was the winner one, which is BT5 Arata Sonata, which is a fantastic reprint, but that's for the winner. So it's like it's not heavily distributed. But with this one, you got the optional kind of like some people like it, some people don't, as the winner, which is the Nokia from BT5. But then you have two really good promos where Metal Garurumon is your entry, and your top four gets Wargreymon. So, and both of these are heavily played in the deck. So long as you're an Omni player, you're happy with essentially your top four pricing. And then if you like myself, you just like a collection, you like the Nokia, and sometimes you take it in your deck as well. Having a winner one is also very nice to have. Moving on from that, though, we had the we've been told on what the new sets are going to be. So we have been told what the new starter decks are going to be, as well as what BT24 is going to be. No, BT25. So for ST23 and 24, they are going to be what I'm reading them as team-based decks. So this is essentially continuing on with the theming of what the adventure starter decks were. So what the adventure starter decks were is that they took the series that they were in and added that as the trait. So you kind of got the series slash team based deck structure that utilizes multiple Digimon within that deck. So you have the ability to now build an Adventure Season 1 deck where a Agumon can evolve into Angemon, which can evolve into Mega Carpetariumon, which can then become Metal Garurumon. So, because they just all branch off that adventure trait. What they're doing is that they're taking for BST23 is our introduction to Beat Break. So if you don't know what Beat Break is, it is the brand new, currently streaming Digimon series on that again on Crunchyroll that you can watch. And so where we have members of the Glowing Dawn team, which is our main protagonist group within that series. So you're going to be having what they're saying, Gekomon and Peristimon are going to be making their debut into the card game. So what I'm getting from this description, where if you want me to just read it out, actually I think I'll read it out. A starter deck based on the new anime Digimon Beat Break members of Glowing Dawn gather. Many characters from the anime Digimon Beat Break, which started airing in October, make an appearance. Digimon like Gekomon and Peristimon make their Digimon card game debuts. Members of the group Glowing Dawn, which plays an active role in the anime, are collected in the starter deck, allowing for a new battle to unfold. The fact that it's one starter deck, but they're mentioning two Digimon, and heavily referencing the Glowing Dawn team, means that we're going to get Glowing Dawn as a trait, And we're going to have a starter deck where Gekomon can evolve into Puristimon's champion and back to Gekomon's ultimate, and then whichever mega that they want to use from the other one. This is going to be very interesting to see, and I really like this kind of concept. Yes, having a standard generic Evo Pokemon style line of like Agumon to Greymon to Metal Grey to War Grey is great. I love that builds that do that. They just have their theme, they have their boss, and they're just going canonically up the chain. Just adds a lot of consistency that way. But I do like this team series based evolution line that the Adventure Starter deck did, because it just adds so much more diversity to what you can do. Because you can still make your canonical Evo line. So you can still make your Gekomon to his champion, to his ultimate, to his mega. And if they get other lines of that in future sets, then you can just make a whole Gekomon solo deck. But I like the option that you can do where you can go from Gekomon to Puristimon's champion, and then to whoever else that you want to do from there. It just adds a lot more diversity and a lot more flavor, and you can get a lot more players into playing that deck, because they can now go, oh, but I like this wiki, but I also like this ultimate. And they can put them both in the same deck, and they can be happy, and they can, do very well or whatever. So that is our ST23, and they got that concept. Also, the actual structure of the starter deck is also revealed, where you get obviously one whole deck, which is 54 cards, 5 commons, 5 uncommons, 3 rares, 2 SRs, and we're also getting 6 promo cards within this deck, as well as with the other deck as well. And those 6 promo cards are memory boosts. Which ones? But actually, we know kind of which ones they are, as they can add a wide variety of decks with these 2 color memory boosts. So my guess is it's going to be the old ones. The ones that we've had already, the Wisteria mem boosts and that kind of thing. Garnet mem boosts, etc. So that's going to be great to see being starter decks, as the first LM set is essentially out of print. So while they've got this new LM set going around with the newest memory boosts, they can now reprint the old ones within these starter decks, and so everyone has updated and currently available memory boosts. For ST24 though, it's going to be on Data Squad. Yay! So Data Squad or Digimon Savers is where we have, which is the whole description. I'll go through it. A starter deck based on the anime Digimon Data Squad, which is soon celebrating 20 years. The members of that gather together. So many favorite Digimon from the popular anime Digimon Data Squad are included, starting with Shine Greymon. So happy. Members from the group DATS, which plays an active role in the anime, are collected in this starter deck, allowing for a new battle to unfold. A new game mechanic, which is also from which is also going to be in the other starter deck. So a new game mechanic called Dual Cards is here to revolutionize the Digimon card game. It also goes through, it's been 2 years since Ace got introduced into the game, which is crazy to think about. And with this one, you'll also have a chance to pull a low rare card, which is ST24 Agumon, with an alternate artwork design. So you still have your normal ST24 Agumon, but now one of those could be this high rarity alt art version, which is very nice. I do like a little bit of lottery within the starter decks. It's always great. And again, talks through the mem boost, and the exact same structure layout in terms of what you're going to be getting. For the other starter deck is you get a chance to get a Gekomon alt art, So one of your 23 Gekomon Alt Arts, ST23 Gekomons can become Alt Art reprint. So, what this tells me, or gives me an idea, is that from our previous episode, where we first spoke about the dual cards and what they could potentially be, one of our highest kind of like ideas and theories is essentially taking the tag teams from the Pokemon TCG into the card game. And I think that is going to be what this is. I think that's going to be the new mechanic. But whether it's 2 Digimon or 1 Digimon and Tamer, that is to be seen. Again, it could also be Digimon an option card. Who knows? I think that'd be really cool. But that is what we're still waiting to find out. And I feel like with the fact that these starter decks are, again, not only team-based, which is DATS and the new Beat Break team, but then also emphasizing the new mechanic, I think it's just, like, the whole deck, all these decks are based on two ops. Like, the duo things, like, to even the promos being the dual color members in decks that are all about duels and tags, and partners of everything, multiples. Like, come on, come on, come on. it's the, it's just screaming it. It's screaming it. I'm very excited for these starter decks. And then we've got BT25. BT25 is called Dual Revolution. The teams of Glowing Dawn from Digimon Beat Break and DATS from Data Squad, which are featured in ST23 and 24, get a big power up. It has been about 2 years since Ace Mechanic, blah 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 blah. From this set, though, a new card rarity, Ultimate Rare, which is higher than SR, is included. So, if it's anything like with Yu-Gi-Oh!, Ultimate Rare was the middle rarity between SR and Secret. What this could mean is that if they don't alter the SR ratios from, like, I think it's 6 per box, we could have 6 SRs, oh, no. We know the ratios of the box. So the rarities is going to be 40 commons, 26 uncommons, 22 rares, 12 SRs, 2 secret rares, and 4 SP cards, which are 106 cards per pack. Also includes alternate art cards and or design cards from the above card types, subject to change. The fact that the ratios don't actually mention the new Ultimate Rare is interesting to see, because the description says it's higher than SR, but it doesn't say it's higher than Secret. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be. So it's going to be exciting. I was thinking it could have been 12. It was going to, because I thought it was 6 SRs, but if it's 12 SRs, it could have then been 12 SRs for, well, my initial idea was 6 SRs, 4 ultimate rares, and 2 secrets, so you're going down in ratios of 2. But if it's 12 SRs, then you're probably looking at 12 SRs. It could have been then 12 SRs for still 4 ultimates and 2 secrets. But that's if Ultimate is like with Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day was in the middle. But now Ultimate for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is special, more special, because they're only doing it in promo sets, like tournament entry packs and sometimes odd side sets. So it's going to be exciting. It's exciting to see what the new Ultimate Rare is going to be, if it's higher and more valued than the Secret. which by wording standpoint would be very weird. Like, like, is it personal to think that the word ultimate is less than the word secret? Like, does secret have more meaning? Like, literally, like in a more literal standpoint, or is that just me personally? Like, the card games have just changed my view on what the words secret and ultimate are. Um, so yeah, so that's going to be exciting. The set is obviously going to feature more of the dual mechanic. So, and it's going to be upping those starter decks. Some people are also wondering, are we going to get more Time Stranger support in this set? I think Time Stranger, because this is BT25, so BT24 is going to be the Time Stranger themed set from the video game. I think Time Stranger is going to probably become the new Appmon in terms of booster set imports, and it's going to take the Appmon spot because I think post BT24 we will have every team member from Appmon in the card game. As I believe we've only got one more left to go, which is the Hadesmon. And unless they do something with literally Leviathan and the good version of the Leviathan AI, the app one is essentially finished post 24. So I think from there, again, Time Stranger is going to take the app one slot. So you're going to be having sprinkled lines from Time Strangers, or just sprinkled Digimon from Time Strangers in each set until Time Strangers is finished. Until like needing most of the Digimon that you can get in Time Strangers that are now back in the card game again. And so I think that's going to be what's going to be happening with Dual Revolution. They haven't revealed because there's no need to. Um, I think the only reason they did it for Atmon is because they had like a themed tamer around them, so they're like, oh, you know, here is this guy with this Digimon partner. Like, you, boom, that's in this set. You know exactly who. If you want to play Hadesmon, you know which set you're waiting for. If you wanted to play Poseidon, you know exactly which set you're waiting for, etc., etc. And so that is essentially all the reveals. I'm very excited um, on all these sets. As you know from my top three, I'm a huge fan of the Data Squad series. I really love all the characters. I really got into the Shine Greymon deck when the Marcus mechanic was revealed. Like I took it to multiple locals and really just kept editing that deck constantly. I've revamped it now with the new memory boost, and I'm just trying to like work a way around like how to build this deck again. Um, so I'll be definitely looking more into what Shine Greymon's doing. And who knows? Who knows if they're going to be changing the burst mode mechanic? As they didn't mention that, which is understandable. Like, but if they bring burst modes back, I'm wondering if it's going to be still working mechanically the same, like balancing said tamer, evolving that burst mode, um, and if they're going to edit it at any way, like can a Shine Greymon burst mode into Mirage Galgamon burst mode? Like, are they going to be able to do like mix and matches? I feel like they're going to still be able to have Shine Greymon naturally evolve into like Mirage burst mode. Because it'll probably just like still feature the whole can evolve from X on a dash trait. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm very, very excited for all these new products and what the game's going to be doing. Having a new mechanic teased like this is always exciting to see. I remember the community went crazy when the word Ace was first revealed. Um, it's just surprising that they're taking this long to reveal um, what the new mechanic is going to do. Um, yes, so that is our main phase. I think I can't really think of anything else to talk about from there. So we're done with the main phase, and we're going to move straight into our end phase, which is going to be our questions and answers. So we'll catch you tamers there. And we're back, tamers, with our end phase, and it's going to be questions and answers as it always is. And as always, thank you so much, Alex, as always, for your question today. And that question is, now that Bristol is only a couple of weeks away as of uploading that episode, and we're starting to settle into BT23, what are your predictions for the top 3 decks at Bristol? It'll be fun to revisit this question after, I'm guessing this question after Bristol. Which yes it will. And we will award 3 points to the correct deck and position and 1 point for the correct deck. For a correct deck. So yeah, definitely we need to keep track on that. Maybe that would be the top 3. For the episode before Bristol. Maybe that would be the top 3. So thank you, Alex, for that one. So 23 top decks. So looking at what's going on with how 23 is affecting the format, I definitely think Hoodie. I think I'm going Hoodie's the first one to really talk about, and I think I'm going to take a wild crack one. I'm going to place Hoodie number 2. Part of me just doesn't want to just put Hoodie number 1 just because new deck, new flavor, very strong. So I kind of want to put it at number 2, but I can't think of previous decks that topple it, just outright. And Hoodie currently feels like the best deck that counters Hoodie is Hoodie. But that's mostly just because Hoodie can play Venusmon. So, in that regard, if you just have a deck that can just climb to Venus very quickly, you can just beat Hoodie. Any deck can beat Hoodie in that regard. So, it's interesting for that. Just take a quick crack at, because this always helps my mental state, is for the meta is just, I know it's not a lot of people's top places to go to, but I really like just Digimon meta's layout. It just helps me personally just mentally look at it better. So just currently seeing what's going on in terms of the format right now. Obviously, who's doing very well currently. You still got Royal Knights floating around. Gallantmon's still floating around. Galaxy is still very, very strong. Jasmine is now becoming very popular. And then you got other rogue decks. So just looking. That's interesting. I need to look at that one later. I'm getting sidetracked there. I think my top 3 is going to be I think Galaxy is number 3. Because when looking at a meta, you kind of need to think, what's everyone gunning for? So I felt like the last format, Omnimon was the one that everyone was gunning for, and they're picking decks to beat that. And I think the format before that was Royal Knights. I think Royal Knights was also sprinkled slightly into the next format, the Omni format. So with everyone gunning for Hootie to try and beat it, I think you're gonna have. I think Galaxy. Honestly, I can't think of anything else. So we were talking about this yesterday, and at locals, Galaxy has in its toolbox, ironically, um, ways to beat Hootie. Like it has a lot of ways to, if not beat them, slow them down. With things like climbing to Hex very quickly. That literally just shuts off Hootie from swinging. Because to beat a Hexablow, you need 3, 6, 9, 10. You need 4 Digimon on board to DP minus that to death, to 0. And that is with no buffs. Like, that is no buffs on that Hexablow. But this is Galaxy. A single light level 4 can pump him up to 14, and then there's no way Hootie's getting five guys on board so quickly, like in a single turn, without attacking. So just on Evo, on average, I see Hootie's doing 6. If I want to be really generous, 9. Like 9 is the average. That is not taking down just a base static Hexawell. And because of that, unless they're playing the option build, which even then doesn't solve the problem, there's no way Hootie's going to be able to make any forward progress. So without being able to make forward progress, Hex can stun them out. Mirage slows down their plays because now every time they need to do their combo, like a single Angemon and Seijumon, which is like the primarily secondary highest ratioed champions in the deck, a Mirage could potentially just skip their turn. Because unless they're playing and they have so many resources backed up, to evolve into Hootie is always pushing them to 1 or 0 memory, which then plays down the other dude, which then draws them a card, and which then potentially means Mirage is skipping their turn. And again, they're not DP minusing it to nothing because on average is 9 and Mirage is on base like 11 or 12. So they can't get rid of that. They have access to Medieval Gallantmon as well, which also just, turns off their combo. Because, again, playing the other body down, -9 on average. Oh, my Medieval is still at 4,000 DP. Oh, I will now suspend the champion just played and kill the Foodie. Like, great. And then they have other techs and tools, like they now have access to the new CS Examon, which just spins all their tamers away. Like, there's just so many tools that Galaxy can do, and they can climb up as fast as Hootie, and they just climb up faster than most decks set up right. That I honestly think Galaxy is going to be one of the top three decks in the format at Bristol. If everyone is doing what they've been previously doing, which is picking the most dominant deck and targeting that with the deck choice that they pick. But the reason I put it at number 3 and Hootie at number 2 is because I don't think people will think of it. I don't think a lot of people will think about it and see it that much, and I think the overall representation of Hootie will outpace the number of decks that Galaxy players are being picked. So that's why I go for that. But my number 1, I honestly, and not just because he's my favorite, one of my favorites, but I honestly still think that Gallant is going to claim it. I think because I'm trying to put the high roll into it as well. Because as much as some people probably hate having high roll as the deciding factor for people's plays and wins. It happens. You just have to accept it. You just have to accept that high rolls in card games happen. It happens in every card game. People can just get the luck every single match and just high roll their way to victory. There's no shame on them. There's not saying that they are a bad player because they obviously played the deck, they learned of the deck, and they just got lucky. Like Lady Luck just shined upon them and was just like, "You're gonna get best hands every game. You're not gonna brick, and if you do, it's gonna be just a little brick. And if you're gonna brick, I'm gonna make them brick as well. So it's just not gonna become like, and I just won't like." And it just happens. And I honestly think with the way that Gallant's been performing, it just now is that sleeper deck. And it's a really good sleeper deck. Like it is a tier 1 sleeper deck because it just always works. There's always one player. Like we even have it at locals with Tamas and Shane. Like they will just pick Gallant one day and just for an event, just high roll through it. Like, yeah, Tamas just on his own has had like 3 invites over Gallimon. Like, all for the same year. Like he's just high rolled his way all the way through it, and even he has said it to me. Like he's just lady lucked it all the way again. Bum, 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 bum. Never broke, just OTK'd everybody. And it's just such a consistent OTK deck. Um, And like the only way I've seen Gallant one lose when it's being not bricky is that the opponent just not bricked faster. Like they just also not bricked and they are also just a fast deck. Like, that's the only way I see it lose. And even then it's 50-50. If it does or not. So that's my top 3 picks. Is gonna be Galaxy Toolbox at number 3. Hoodimon at number 2 and Gallantmon number 1. That's going to be my deciding top 3. If I had to pick a backup 3, I'd literally just swap the first and second place. I'd then just put Hoodie number 1 and Gallant number 2. But I'm going to try and be big brainy and I'm going to put Gallant number 1. I think Gallant's going to win it. Hoodie's going to have number 2, but it's going to be the most represented deck. And then Galaxy is number 3. Purely if people pick it right and play it right and build it right, to counter Hoodie, they'll do really well. But there'll just be more people playing Hoodie, which will put them at number 2, if that makes sense. But that's my answer to your question, Alex. Thank you so much for that. I will definitely jot my picks down, and after Bristol, we'll see how well I did. We'll see if I got it right. That'd be very interesting to see. We'll see if I can miraculously pick the top 3, and see if my knowledge of the game is improved because of it. Thank you very much. If you want your questions and answers, I'm going to quickly just go through our Spotify and see if, as you now can listen our podcasts on Spotify. And you can put your questions there, and we will answer them as well. But we don't seem to have any comments on the Spotify videos. It's fine, nothing wrong there. But yes, if you do have questions that you want to answer, either post it down on the most recent episode, or just any episode you're watching. If we haven't gotten to your question, we will answer them. Or again, if you're listening to us on Spotify, you can post them down in the comments on there as well, and we'll get to them as well. So thank you, Alex, anyway, and thank you everybody for listening or watching this latest episode of the Applink. Sorry, it's just me today. people had family things that they had to deal with, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Family always first. I hope you all enjoyed first solo episode today. So, guys, again, like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, guys, as always, we'll see you on the next episode of the Applink. Bye!